Welcome to the Blue Collar Trade Show podcast, where we cover the best news, practices, and tips for you to succeed in the blue collar industry. In this episode, we're going to be going over our brand new management development program.
So Troy and Chad, thanks for joining us today to talk about your new Blue Collar Masters Leadership and Management Development course. And so we'll start out by Troy, if you could just kind of tell me your background and how you got into the trades.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Well, I appreciate it, and I appreciate you jumping out with us here today to talk about this. This is something that's been near and dear to my heart for a long, long time, so we're excited to promote it and talk about it and get as many people into the program as possible. For me, it's everybody has, I think, an interesting story as to how they got into the trades. For me, it was no less. I owned a business way back in the day, and I had a friend of mine that owned a small plumbing company, and they did some air conditioning, and he needed someone in sales, and I wanted to get out of what I was doing. So we decided to talk about me joining that company. And one of the first questions that he asked me was, what do you know about air conditioning? And I said, I know I have one, and I know it's green, but that's pretty much it. And the funny thing is I've been in that was in 2001. And so what is that, 25 years later, 24 years later? I still don't know much more than that, but I've done a lot in the home services world, in managing and franchising and teaching and mentoring. And one of the best things about this business is I don't know if I've met anyone that's gotten into it that has ever really left it, which is really pretty cool. Yeah. There's so much opportunity.
Very good. Chad, how about you?
Well, Jim, I got pulled into the trades very, very early. As a matter of fact, I was so young that I thought everybody was in the trades because I was just surrounded. My whole family was a bunch of tradespeople. I had auto mechanics, electricians, air conditioning people. And I just thought that was the way that everybody grew up. And I didn't find out till later on that there was different career paths. But as early as 12, I was already out there working on air conditioners and wiring up electrical circuits. You can kind of say it's in my DNA to be in the trades.
That's very cool. Very cool. So it was kind of a family thing, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah, sure was.
So what was the kind of the onus, the driving factor leading to the development of this course, Troy? We'll start with you.
Yeah. So interesting. So when the business that I got into sales management, was within a couple of years moved into general management. And one of the things, we were part of a franchise system where they had a general management development course that I took, and it really just laid the groundwork of how to become an effective manager. I really, really liked it. It was based off of a few different books, and it was a long session, very engaging session that took some time. And it really just changed my life from a career path standpoint. And lucky enough for me, eventually I was the person that took over that course and started teaching it myself. And there's tons, I would say probably 75 to 100 people that went through the course that we're teaching. It's not exactly the same, of course, but there's some similarities to teaching leadership and management that we're going to talk about. But I loved it. I love being a part of people's development, personal and professional development. And for a long time now, since we've started the Blue Collar Recruiter, it's been on the back burner. And Chad and I have been talking about it for a couple of years now the world needs something like this. It's really one of those things that is, unless you're part of a big organization or a part of a franchise, and even in some cases with them, they don't offer development of management and leadership. And we think we have something very unique, very cool, very engaging, and very fun that I think people are going to get a lot out of, like we did. And one of the things that I'm very proud of is Chad and I have known each other for 15 years, and he was one of my students way back in the day. So
that's right.
There you go.
That's very cool. Yep. Very cool. Well, Chad, what do you have? Do you have anything to add? I mean,
I do. Yeah, it's the nature of our industry. Like from the ground level up, you'll find yourself doing what I call tribal learning. Even learning out in the field, you just ride along with the guy, and you're supposed to do what he does, and eventually you learn that way, even if he was doing it wrong. And so that expanded into the office to where if somebody was going to take over somebody else's position, advancement and leadership, That basically just consisted of you walking around with your finger in his pocket, going about the day-to-day operations and how he handles those things. So I felt like there was several gaps in the training, and it wasn't till I went to, the training that Troy and I met at that I realized that there's a lot more to this. And I came back to the office, was able to introduce a lot of new ideas that really kind of jump-started my career as well.
Well, when you think about it, that kind of goes back to the old, well, it's the way we've always done it.
Right.
For so many years in business. Well, that's the way we've done it, even if it wasn't correct. So what can...
just to build on that real quick, Jim, if you don't mind. So, and that's what it is, right? So the only thing I knew how to do was what I saw, right? And even though I was part of a third generation company who was around for 75 years and did a lot of things right, they weren't growing, and they knew they weren't growing, and we didn't know why we weren't growing. Right. And then you get involved and you start participating, you start talking to and meeting other people that are running and working in different sized businesses. And you learn a little bit about marketing, you learn a little bit about management, you learn a little bit about how to balance sheet and a profit and loss statement, what it actually means. Leadership, those kinds of things can all of a sudden, man, the world expands and your thinking expands. And all of a sudden you move, we from that program, we moved a $1 million business, $1.2 million business to about a $5 million business within a couple of years, so.
Yeah, that's very cool. So what, kind of getting back to that, what can owners expect if they send one of their employees to this course? What can they expect to get in return? I mean, what are they looking to get out of it?
Yeah, so the return on investment, right? So that's the biggest thing.
Sure.
So this is for, we like to look at it like it's for the participant, but in some ways, we're going to have participants that want to just build their own professional development, personal development on their own and on their own dime. And that's awesome, right? Good for them. It's like going to school. In some cases, it's going to be promoted and paid for by an owner, a business owner. And, most business owners, especially in the home services world, but in the skilled trades and blue collar space, because of a lack of leadership and management development programs out there that don't cost a fortune, the only, like we were talking about, the only training that you have is what you have time to give, right? And so from an owner's perspective, if they've got somebody, because every owner at some point in time, I'm getting up there, I'm over 50 years old, and I'm like, what am I going to do with, everybody says, when are you going to retire? When are you going to retire? What are you going to do next? And if I don't have someone in my back pocket who I can develop to take on the next role, the CEO, the chief everything officer, it can't happen forever. So you need to be able to hand it off to someone, and to be able to look to an organization like ours that can help them. We're not going to answer every question. We're not going to do everything. We're not magical with what we're about to teach. But we're going to give them a pretty good insight as to how to run an effective and profitable business, and take a lot of load off their shoulder, and just allow that participant to ask different kinds of questions and maybe open their eyes, take the blinders off their business a little bit. So the ROI really is developing their team for their own professional growth, their own personal growth. And that's what people want, so as on the recruiting side, people ask us all the time, why do people leave? Why do people leave? People leave not just because of money. They believe that there is no place for them to go. They have no growth, right? And if you can build some sort of opportunity for them and show them that you find value in them, they're going to stick around because they see the bigger picture.
Very good. Chad?
Yeah, I think that probably one of the greatest things that they can expect is when they come back, they're going to be asking the right questions about the business. Because if you set them up and just bring them in, just, hey, we're going to start in this new position today, and what questions do you have? Can you imagine the short list of questions they might have? Well, if they go and attend the training, they'll come back with the right questions that may even remind the owner of some certain things that they should put more focus on. So I believe that they'll understand a lot of the why in the business and decisions that they've seen made previous that they may have not known the answers to. I believe that this will broaden, like Troy said, take the blinders off.
Well, one other thing, if you think about it, that I think it'll give the owners is time. Because if they can get some stuff off their plate, it's going to give them time. And then, that's a huge commodity. Troy, I mean, you're getting to be an old man. I mean, having a little time would be nice. So
That would be
I think
nice.
that I think that's a big thing. So, and what about speaking about the owners? What would they get out of attending? I mean, an owner of a business.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I would say that they could get a lot out of it. And here's why is, some owners have gone to business school. Some owners have got their master's degree or doctorate in business and that sort of thing. Some come from big, giant organizations but everybody has room to learn, right? Everybody, if you're just doing what you're doing every day, you can kind of get caught in your own little trap. So again, being exposed to other people, getting exposed to other thoughts certainly can go a long way. We all know that's true. But at the same time, I think one of the things that owners can get out of it is they, especially again, going back to the home services space, and by the way, this isn't just for home services. It's just, but for the skilled trades businesses of any kind. So many of the business owners today got into the business because that's what they did. Maybe they were a technician, or maybe they were in the shop, or maybe they were a welder, or maybe they were a truck driver. It doesn't matter, but they started kind of like myself or Chad, kind of at that entry level position, and this is all they've known. They've never really gone to school for how to manage a business or how to lead a team. And I think they can get something out of it. I think anybody I want one of my kids that are going to college for business to actually go to this class because I know they can get something out of it.
Very cool. Chad?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely beneficial. I mean, you have a different kind of owners, right? You have some that are absentee, hands off, and then you have ones that are really hands on in the business every single day. I think for the hands off folks, it'll help them make sure the focus is where it needs to be in their business. And for the hands on guys, it really can help them try to handle the whirlwind of the day to day and sit back and look at things and make sure that focus is on what we're talking about in the training. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. So what do you, kind of switching gears a little bit, what do you guys think is the biggest problems facing companies in the trades today? Troy?
Well, I think it's always been the same two things to me, right? And primarily it's the one thing, and I don't even think it's unique to the trades, honestly. And it is leading, the leadership, right? And developing people and letting your business. It's all about people, right? Your whole world, your whole life, your business life is so much better when you surround yourself with good, high quality people that stick around, right? And they want to work with you. And one of the things is there's a big difference between wanting to do something versus having to do something, right? Almost the difference between managers and leaders. And getting people to want to do something within your business is certainly makes it go a lot better. But that's the biggest thing is people, right? Really, people have a hard time not only finding good, high quality people, but keeping them. And which is why we started the blue collar recruiting firm in the first place, is getting people to hire really high quality talent. And part of the reason why we've developed this management development program and the virtual trade school is to help our business owners keep them, right? By continuing to sharpen their knife and polish their skills.
Chad, anything to add?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I agree with Troy, really, just to expand on what he was saying. I mean, recruiting and retention, right? That's what it all comes down to. And a great retention tool has always been training, programs like this that they feel like they're being invested in. They feel like there's a place for them to go and grow. That's probably the best retention tool there is. Like Troy said earlier, it's never been money. It's always been about a career path, and training tells them that indicates that there is a career path. And with the training program, we're really able to get granular so that they feel like they have a leg up and they know how to handle the issues of the day-to-day business.
It reminds me of something I heard a long time ago when a business owner, he said that he hated getting his people trained up because he'd get them all trained up and get them all skilled and they'd leave and go to work for someone else. And the question is, well, what if you don't train them and they stay? Right? Then what do you got?
Oh, man.
So So talking
That
about,
happens a lot. That happens a
yeah,
lot. Yeah.
yeah. So talking about what do you feel makes a good manager? I mean, this is a manager's class. What do you think is the really stands out for a good manager?
I think a good manager is someone who, everybody has a bad day, but a good manager is, there's a distinction between manager and leader, and but there's almost a distinction without a difference to a certain extent. Managing people means showing them how to do something, expecting that they accomplish it, right? So, and it's teaching them how, it's letting them know, do they know what to expect, right? What do I expect from you? Do you know how to do it, right? Have you been taught to do it? And do you have the abilities to do it, right? If you have those three things in an employee that you can manage too, then you got nothing wrong. And if they still fail, even though they've checked those boxes, then there is some onus on the person itself, right? So you can manage, but you got to know what you're doing. You got to be able to, you got to know your numbers, right? You got to expect the unexpected. You got to deal with people, right? So managers is dealing with people, whether that's your own people or customers, right? It would be so nice. It'd be such a beautiful world if we didn't have to deal with customers or employees, right? But unfortunately we do. And, and it's not unfortunate because it can really be a beautiful thing. If you build yourself a nice, strong team and manage them well and give them, and so that they know exactly what you expect from them, it can be a beautiful thing.
Yeah, Chad?
Well, it's funny because the only thing that I was ever told growing up was in order to be a good manager, you have to lead by example. And then it was the same advice all over. That was the only advice I ever got until I got, involved in training programs. Obviously, you have to lead by example, but it's much deeper than that. And I think one of the things that you really have to be on top of what Troy said was you have to be an exceptional problem solver, and not just a problem solver that you're the only one that knows how to do it, but problem solve in such a way that it excites the entire team and it makes them feel like no matter what happens, the employee, the company, the customer are all going to be in good hands. So I think that's a huge part of being a good manager, is just being able to motivate people to solve problems where everybody wins.
Yeah, it's almost like being,
I think motivation is huge.
Motivation, yeah, inspiration, teaching them, right? So what do you, it's, Chad and I talk about this a lot. Well, his phone rings off the hook sometimes with guys coming to him to solve their problems. And the best thing to do before you answer the question is what do you think the right answer is? Right? Let them do it themselves. But a lot of us just get in the way because we want to just get it done, get it fixed, and not listen to them do it wrong or watch them do it wrong. But, so there are, you got to take some time with people for them to be successful, show them the tools that are out there in the world that make things easier. I mean, we were joking last week just how, before you call me, check YouTube and check ChatGPT. If that doesn't have the answer, you call me, right? So, but there's some truth to it. There's stuff out there. There always has been, right? But
I remember hearing the difference between, a good leader and a great leader. There are leaders out there that the great ones you'd follow through a fire. Then there's leaders you'd push into the fire, right? So, and let's talk a little bit about, what's the biggest drivers do you think for morale in a company?
So, yeah, well, I think that one of the things, when you're surrounding yourself with people that like to work, right? So when you're moving morale, everybody has their days, right? So managers have their days, employees have their days, customers have their days, right? So when people feel like they're part of something special, right? When people feel like they're part of something where there's opportunity around the corner, whether that's a week from now, a month from now, or a year from now, that can go a long way. Think about everything else in your life where if you're appreciated, right? If you really feel like, even though I screwed it up, Chad's not going to fire me today. I was an honest mistake and I did if you feel like you're appreciated, you're acknowledged, you have some opportunity and you're part of something special. I've always said, and it's an old term, but a sign of a good leader isn't how well you lead, it's how many people you develop to be leaders. And it's just a huge thing, and it's very, very true. But it doesn't go anywhere if people don't feel like you give them any love and respect. A simple phone call, a simple message, those little things go a long way.
Chad?
I think it's certainly cultural, and I want to try to create an atmosphere that they actually, when they're done working, right? I have this vision that they go home and they carry that culture with them to the point to where if a friend or family member asks them, "Hey, how's it going at work?" then they have nothing but nice things to say or positive things to say. And Troy started to hit on it there, that one of the things that really boosts morale is to have a career path that involves training, that you're investing in them, and they feel like that's the place they want to be, and I don't know that I could have that same conversation where you just sit down and say, well, I'm making a lot of money. I don't know that that's good morale at all. I think that
it helps for a little while. It helps for a little while,
yeah,
right?
It certainly
Money helps for a minute. Yeah.
But overall, the morale's got to be up there. And I believe that that's the culture that you want to create, and provide for your employees.
I think go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, go.
I was just going to say, along Chad's lines, showing interest in their family, showing interest in other things besides just the job they do, I think could be huge as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and get to know them as a person, right? Not just as an employee or a number in some cases. Well, now I forgot what I was going to say.
Jeez.
But we'll wrap this up with Troy. How, if someone is interested, where do they go? How can they find this? Who should they contact?
Yeah, so you can, there's stuff all over the place right now. So you can find us on LinkedIn. You can find us on the website. If you go to the bluecollarrecruiter.com website, go to the form section, send us a form that you're interested in. We'll have a conversation and get you signed up. You can talk to me, Chad, or both. And we're excited about this and love to have you be a part of it. We're going to have not only Chad and I, but we're going to have several, and Jim is going to be on here occasionally as well. We're going to have several other speakers that are experts in their area to help talk through some of this. This is not a talking head type of management development. This is not Troy or Chad talking for an hour every week and they're just, a big yawner. It's going to be very, very engaging, and it's going to be very something participatory, and there's going to be homework, and it's going to be time invested into your career. So yeah, but go to our website. That's the easiest thing to do, or just call us. And we're happy to talk to you.
Very good. Well, thank you guys for your time. I'm going to wrap up with one last question for Chad. What is your favorite crustacean?
Oh, that's got to be the Caribbean lobster, brother.
Very good. Nice choice.
Yep.
Troy?
What are those? Yeah, I don't know. I was going to make a joke and say, what are those things that stick to the bottom of your propeller in the lake? They're my least favorite one.
Barnacles.
Right?
Barnacles.
Yeah, now there's something that's in mussels, the zebra mussels.
Oh,
you ever heard of those? Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, zebra mussels, yeah.
Okay, so let's start.
So Troy, can you kind of lay out who this is for in a business?
Yeah, I'll let Chad add on to this too, but it really is for anybody that's looking to develop their professional skills. Whether you're, wanting to get into supervising people, wanting to get into managing people, general management, or even owning your own business. It really is a course we're going to cover a lot, right? We're going to cover a lot of different things, a very wide brush of how to run a business effectively and profitably. So it's really anybody that is ready for the next step is how I would quantify it. Chad?
Very good. Chad?
Yeah, I mean, certainly if you're looking down the barrel of a promotion, that would be awesome. But outside of that, if you've ever been in the business, or you've been in a business for a while and you're wondering, like, there's just part of the business you don't quite understand, and you felt like if you understood that part of the business, or even more, that would help you in your career, this would be a great program for you.
Very good. And how long is the course? What's the time commitment?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So anybody that signs up, we've got 5 different books that we're gonna reference that we'll ship to you. You're gonna get a course guide, a handbook that you're gonna work off of that you'll get prior to the course starting, so you have everything ready to go. Which is why, so we have our first session starting on October 15th. Our cutoff is October 7th because we need time to get all that stuff over to you and to get shipped to you. So October 15th, and it's a 15-week course. Very involved, very in-depth course. It'll happen on Wednesdays, every Wednesday at 3 o'clock Central Time. Every week it'll take somewhere between 60 to 90 minutes, typically. We promise it won't go over 90 minutes, but it probably won't be less than 60 is our promise to you. Because of the holidays, the 15 weeks will get us into early February before we're done. And once you're done, once you graduate, as long as you participate, you check all the boxes that we've given you. And it all starts with an assessment. We're going to see where you think you are, and then we're going to end with another one to see how you think you did. And if a manager is a part of it, we're going to ask them to do the same thing. How'd you go in, and then how'd you come out? And then you'll get a certification of completion of the course and all of that. So,
very good.
Okay.
And what topics can they expect to be covered?
It's interesting. So I was just looking at the list here. So we have, like I said, we have a very wide brush, and not to read them off, but I'm gonna read them off a little bit just to give you a sense, right? So the leadership. So week 1, leadership, mindset, positivity, and action is what we call it. Week 2, vision, values, and goal setting is week 2. Week 3, focus and execution. Week 4, building the right team. So there's going to be a lot of topics around the right team. Week 5, recruiting with purpose. Week 6, systemizing for consistency. So we're working with what's the customer journey look like. Time and priority management is week 7. Financials and pricing fundamentals in week 8. Week 9 is creating memorable customer experiences, so that the perfect call, the perfect customer experience all the way across the board. Week 10, sales leadership and negotiation skills. That's a good one. Week 11, we got a lot of marketing stuff. Marketing in the AI era. What does that look like? So we've got a couple good experts coming in to talk about that. Week 12, manpower planning, capacity management. When should you hire? When should you fire? That sort of thing. Week 13, coaching, conflict resolution, and team building. So a lot of people topics here. Week 14, continuous improvement and stress management. Chad, you ever have any stress managing a company?
Oh.
Not you.
Not after I went through week 14, then I was fine.
Week 14, yeah. So week 15, succession, legacy, and capstone presentation. So there's going to be homework. There's going to be groups working together in small projects. There's going to be lots to read and lots to do throughout this thing. So this isn't 90 minutes a week. This is you're going to put several hours in every week to make sure you get out of this what you can. And I think it's a very high value opportunity.
And it seems very comprehensive. It's pretty loaded.
And there's going to be a lot of stuff in between because it's open for discussion all the way through, and we're excited for it. So,
and tell me a little bit about the structure of the classes. What can they expect on a weekly basis?
Well, it'll be on a Zoom call just like this. So we're going to ask everybody to join and be on time. Like I said, we're going to have every call be 60 to 90 minutes, no less than 60, but no more than 90. You're going to have homework that you'll have to prepare for prior to the call that you'll need to bring and participate with. You'll have discussion. We'll have discussion throughout the call, and then group work within the call. And then you'll have homework after the call. And again, week after week, we're going to have different kinds of things. We're going to be following up with everybody on a weekly basis on turning assignments in and those kinds of things. But again, it's come engaged, come with your camera on, and come, so we're going to send out a pretty well-defined workbook of what to be ready for before it all begins.
Very good. Chad, anything to add?
Yeah, I do. If these things of working together and kind of speaking in this forum is something that somebody might be a little intimidated by, we try to keep it as casual as possible. But I will tell you, this is something as a leader that you will this will be a great exercise for you to start expanding those skills as well. Being able to present in front of people that you don't really know that well, because public speaking is part of leadership. And this is a great way to exercise that part of your character.
It's a good point.
That's a great ad.
Mm-hmm.
So, Chad, if you had to pick 2 or 3 of the topics that you think would be most interesting for students and then most beneficial for owners, which ones would they be?
Well, I think that the most beneficial for owners, I'll start with that, is when we got into week 4 and week 5, when we get into those weeks, we start to talk about building the right team, the ideal team player, and recruiting with a purpose. I mean, sometimes somebody comes in through the door and they have a heartbeat and they know how to brush their teeth. You're going to give them a job, and that's just not a good way to hire. And you may feel that way sometimes out of desperation, but those weeks really help explain why not to hire just out of desperation, and particularly how to identify character in an applicant. So I think those would be very interesting for an owner. And then when it comes to things for a student, I mean, a couple of the things that you probably don't have a clue about as a student is the finance world and the marketing world. And what does gross margin mean? What should that look like? And what should we be spending on advertising, and what should we expect in return? So those are things that you'll learn on those weeks.
Very good. Troy?
Yeah, it's similar. All of this stuff is good, and we put it together intentionally to cover what we think they all want, because we're both still in it, very much engaged. Chad runs very big businesses here on a daily basis, so he knows, and that's why we built it the way we did. But from a business owner standpoint, who can't learn something? I like the bigger picture, right? So if I'm a business owner, I like to see, all right, so today's the daily grind, but what are we shooting for, right? So building out that vision, building that plan, and if you want to get here, how do you get there? And we're going to talk a lot about the steps it takes to get to that vision. Because if you present a really good and exciting vision that's realistic to your team, that's pretty motivating. But you got to be able to do it. Right. So we're going to talk a lot about that. The people part, we talked a lot about. The financial part, you guys are exactly right. You got to, understanding your finances. And I don't think that, certainly most students probably haven't had that much, they haven't dealt with it as much. Right. So I think it's going to be very new to them. For business owners, I think they could probably get some takeaways and go, I guess I didn't look at gross margin that way, or I wasn't, doing my books quite the same way, and club memberships. But building the customer journey, I think, putting your eyes on the entire business from what happens when the phone rings, to 10 years after the fact, right? What does that look like? And, mapping all that kind of thing out is really fun and interesting to everybody to go, what is the ideal customer journey, right? So, I don't know. Did we cover everything?
Yeah. One final question for Troy. No, I was just kidding. One final question: Winter or Summer Olympics, Troy?
Winter or Summer Olympics? Ooh, that's a good question. I grew up in Minnesota, so I got to give the nod to the hockey team and the skiing teams and all that kind of thing. So I'm going Winter Olympics.
Very good. Chad?
Well,
you're a Florida guy. I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, I was going to say Summer Olympics, but somehow I'm just mesmerized and fascinated by, what do they call that? Curling?
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I can't turn my head away from the TV till that thing stops moving. I don't understand.
Very good.
Curling reminds me of bowling. It's just like, who wants to go bowling? How hard is bowling? I don't want to go bowling. And then you go bowling, you're like, I'm going to be the best bowler. I love it. You can't not.
You don't have to put your beer down.
No, I know if I did curling, I'd be all in. All right. So Jim, let me flip the tables on us here real quick and just ask, what's your perspective of this program? You've seen it now. You've got an outline of what we're doing here. What are your thoughts? Love to hear them.
Well, I think as in, a lot of it goes back to my background. As you know, Troy, I was in the military for many years. And I think one of the driving forces and what makes our military so great is the training that they put on leadership. There's a leadership management and education training and different leadership courses that you go through, senior enlisted academy, things of that sort. And I think this is a branch of that. I think in order for any business to really thrive and succeed, not only do they need good leaders in place, but they have to be able to build a leadership team to step into place. And I think this is a great course to help businesses do that, to build their team and to build the next level of leadership for their company. So
there you go. Love it. So are you gonna be part of are you gonna sign up? Just kidding. All right.
yeah.
I'll give you a discount. I have a coupon.